Good evening, tubers. Matt M. Roy back once again. Give everybody a few minutes to come here. This is a video that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And actually, Boogie2988, I watched the video he did, very similar to this. And that's kind of what's giving me the motivation to put this content out. But basically, this is what what it was like for me to live at 400 pounds. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that I was not at 400 pounds for as long as some people were. I actually was around that mark for maybe about a year and a half, 2 years at most. But this is going to give you a rough idea of what it was like to live at that weight, and also what the daily struggles were. Now, I'm going to show you guys this picture again. You can see it right next to my face right now. I'll probably have to turn off there we go. Try to get it back. I mean, you can see a marked difference. And yes, somebody asked me before, Tall Dude 123, I don't know if he's here right now. He said, he asked, what was this picture from high school? You look very different now compared to what he did back then. This, I believe, was actually from my college graduation. That would have put it around 2007. So 10, 11, 12 years ago. I would have been in my early to mid 20s at that point. But that's not what this video is really about. I mean, yes, there was a big difference in the way I look, but the more important part of this is how I actually feel. I'm not going to be answering a lot of questions right now because I want to get to what everybody's here for, is what it's actually was like to live at that weight. Starting in the morning, just getting out of bed was incredibly difficult. I would literally have to roll myself out of the bed some mornings because my back hurt so much. Just the sheer ability to pull myself into a sitting position. I couldn't hardly do that sometimes. So basically, some days I could. If I had a good day, I'd be able to do that. But if not, I would literally roll myself out of bed. I would get on my knees and I would kneel on the side of the bed. And I would actually use the bed to prop myself up into a standing position. Now, once I got up and actually in a standing position, I was okay from that point. But that just goes to show you how much extra weight that puts on your frame. I mean, it's amazing how much different it is now that I'm in around 225. I could literally hop out of bed if I had to. Next, getting up in the morning, I might be able to walk 2,000, I don't know, I say 2,000. I should say maybe 2 to 3 minutes before my knees or my back would start hurting, and I'd want to just sit down. Now I would sit down and eat my humongous breakfast. If I was eating at home, it would be something like I'd have 2 sausage, egg, and cheese sandwiches, or I'd have a double. I'd get that frozen sausage that we used to get from Aldi, high-fat pork sausage. I'd pile 2 of those on with 2 or 3 eggs and a piece of cheese, and that would be on something like a bagel. So we're talking about a bagel that's maybe 300, 350 calories. When you add the sausage and the egg, I was ingesting 1,000 calories for breakfast alone. And once breakfast was done, I'd get up and I'd inevitably have to go into the bathroom, and I'd have to sit on the toilet for about an hour because, believe it or not, when you're that heavy, you have to take craps a lot. And don't let anybody else tell you different, because I was probably on the toilet for an hour and a half, 2 hours during the day. And yes, I know it's gross, but it's the truth. I mean, that's what I'm here for, is to tell you guys what it was like to be that heavy. And lunch would come. I mean, I'd eat breakfast maybe around 9 in the morning. Lunch would come at about noon for me. And that would consist of usually a fast food meal. I might go to Sonic. If I went to Sonic, I'd probably get like a double cheeseburger. And I'd get the extra long fries. Basically, if you ever had their extra long chili cheese conies, it would be in the same type of packaging, would be filled to the brim with French fries or tater tots, and I'd have them put tons of chili and cheese on there and onions. And let's figure that's probably another 1,500 calories right there for lunch, at least, maybe pushing 2,000 with the double cheeseburger. And then I would go on my way, usually go to the thrift stores, try to find some products. That part's not all that different from what I'm doing nowadays. And as I was going, I'd have the cup of coffee with me, and I make frequent stops at 7-Eleven. Maybe around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd eat another burger, or maybe I'd actually be good, or what I thought was good, and eat a chicken sandwich. Of course, it would be a fried chicken sandwich. Back then, I would never consider eating anything grilled because it was only fried foods for me. I mean, heck, whenever I went to a Chinese buffet, my plate looked like a fast food drive-through. I mean, I'd literally have the fried fish, fried chicken. I'd have the fried scallops. There might be some macaroni and cheese in there, but the idea being that everything I was eating was high fat, high carb, because at that point, that's what my body was craving, all that high fat, high carbohydrate food that was literally killing me. And that gets me on another topic. And when you're that heavy, there are a lot of days where you just feel hopeless, like, oh my goodness, I'm so heavy right now. There's nothing I can do. I'm never going to get the weight off. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression goes into that. I see my Aunt Lisa's here for the first time. Hello, Aunt Lisa. Nice to see you at one of these. She said, I actually forgot you were ever that heavy. So proud of your success. Yeah, I've wanted to forget about that for a while. And yes, I do realize Milo is trying to climb up the chair. What you doing, buddy? Hi. Milo's being a little bashful right now, but that's okay. We'll move on. Cameron Cloud says, you look like Peter Griffin in the photo. Yeah, I guess I kind of do, for those of you that ever watch Family Guy. And the main problem was, I mean, you could see all the fat around the face there. If I get really close, you can see that it's not necessarily that I had like 3 chins, but I definitely had 2. I had my main chin and then all the fat that surrounded my face. And now if you look at my face, I have the 1 chin. I do still have a little bit of neck waddle, but I think that'll go away over time. So let me go ahead and answer some questions here, because I do want to interact. After all, this is a live stream. Evan Kyoke says, hello, Matt. I'm glad I was able to catch the stream. Glad you're here. Absolutely. You guys can start asking questions if you like. Cameron Cloud asks, what was your eating like when it came to sugar? How did you stop from drinking like fizzy drinks and sugary foods? That's really interesting, because I have always been a water drinker. Even when I was at my heaviest, I would always drink a lot of water. Soda was never a big part of my diet. I might drink sodas on the weekends, like if we went to the Chinese buffet. I might get like a Coke or a Pepsi or a Dr. Pepper, which was absolutely one of my favorite drinks. But it wasn't a big part of my meal. The bulk of the sugar came from junk food, things like Ho-Hos, Twinkies, Ding Dongs. Yeah, I was a big Hostess fan back then. I would eat like those snowballs. And it was just the sheer amount of food that I would ingest into my diets. I remember going to parties, Christmas parties, Halloween parties, and I would literally sit by the buffet and I would just continually fill my plate up. A lot of our friends used to make these meatballs. That was a big thing in crock pots, and I would get 4 or 5, maybe even 6 helpings of those meatballs. And you got to realize something. A lot of this came from my family. In my family, we are all big eaters, mom and dad. Maybe dad a little bit more than mom, but for the most part, we were all big eaters. Second and third helpings of meals were not uncommon in our house at all. And of course, my mom always cooked the staples, especially when I was young. When I say staples, I mean meatloaf, pot roast. We would have maybe roast chicken, but the theme for all of these meals would have ample amounts of gravy, and gravy is so fattening. If you've ever made gravy, you will know how fattening it is. Gravy is actually made from the drippings of whatever meat you're cooking. So if you're cooking chicken, it's made from the fat of the chicken. If you're cooking beef, it's made from the fat of the beef. Now, when we had meatloaf, mom would usually buy the packaged or the canned gravy, but the principle is still the same. You're basically eating solid fat when you're eating gravy. And I've actually learned to remove a lot of the gravy from my diet. Are there times that I actually still ingest meals with gravy? Yeah, but I try to be smart about it. When we go out to Nick's, which is one of our favorite restaurants, a lot of times I'll get the turkey dinner, which will have gravy, but that might be the only time I eat gravy for that entire week. So you have to limit your portions. You have to be smart about what you're actually putting in your body. Hired Guns, simple store brand lemon sparkling water has taken the place of soda for me. That's a great option. For me, it's things like LaCroix flavored waters. I've also been drinking another brand, but it's basically the same thing, flavored seltzered water. You don't want club soda because club soda, believe it or not, actually has sugars. But again, making smart diet choices is the best thing you can do for your health. Cameron Cloud asks, what do you do mentally to motivate you to stick to your dieting and exercise? It's a good question. Honestly, you guys out there are my motivation. I feel like I am, what's a good word for it? I am going to be held to a higher standard. I can't think of the word off the top of my head right now. Held liable, really. But by you guys, if I start backsliding and gaining the weight, you guys, I'm hoping, would go ahead and say, hey, Matt, what are you doing? What do you need? Why are you going back to your old ways? Other things that I do mentally, I have my higher power. In my case, it's the Lord Jesus Christ, and I do pray quite often at times. Now, honestly, this was a bigger problem early on for me. Now that I've gotten the lifestyle change and my body's gotten used to a pattern, I honestly don't even have the want or the need to overeat. So a lot of that has gone away. But early on, if you are just starting your journey right now, those are the things that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to have a support system. And that's the best way to describe it, whether that support system is your immediate family, a therapist, or your YouTube family, like you guys did for me when I was just starting this journey. Mark Covington's here. Hey, Mark. He says, hey, Matt, I'm so glad you're still around today. Remember Roosevelt White from a few years ago who weighed 800 pounds? If you decide to go below 215, let me know. Maybe you and I can walk together. That's always an option. My weight loss journey is going to stop around 220. We've talked about this before in these live streams. I've talked to my doctor. I've talked to other people, my immediate family, and we've basically decided that 220 is a good stopping point. Even right now at 225, I could see myself. I can actually see the veins and arteries in my neck for the first time. I'm actually really happy that I can see that. That kind of tells me that I'm getting to where I need to be physically. When you talk about the emotional side of it, I emotionally ate my entire life. I am a very introverted person. You probably don't see that here because I feel like I can be more open in this forum. But if I'm out in public at a party, I am a very introverted person. I'm that person that sits in the corner and eats and just waits for the party to end. And that kind of spilled over into my life in other times, like when I was at home. Other things, I mean, yeah, there's the relationships, the lack thereof, other things in my life. I definitely had issues, self-worth issues, self-esteem. I was bullied relentlessly when I was young because I was different. And we didn't know about the Asperger's diagnosis until a few years ago. So when I was younger, I knew I was different, but I didn't know why I was different. And when you're different in school, that's never a good thing. When you're different, you will get bullied. And if you were different, you weren't bullied, then maybe you went to a special school. But I remember a time in middle school that I walked down the halls and literally every other person was trying to trip me up. And that was just because I was different. And I carried all of that baggage in from childhood into adulthood. And instead of dealing with it like I should have, I, healthy, talking to a therapist, talking it out with people, my peers, I took all of that anger, all of that rage, and I internalized that and I took it out on my body. I ate all that anger. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do. And that's how somebody who otherwise was healthy can get to be 400 pounds. It's very sad, but it happens every day in this world. I mean, look at the Biggest Loser. Look at My 600-Pound Life, Family by the Ton. I don't care what they say. Those people are hurting inside, even if they don't want to admit it to themselves. Cameron Cloud asks, thoughts on fake sugar like stevia? Besides walking, you thought about making maybe joining a gym and building muscle, doing weight training? I actually do belong to a gym, and I haven't been recently. I do a lot of my weight training at home. I do weight training on a daily basis. I usually do it 4 times a day, 15 reps, different exercises. And what I will be doing, I'm going to do a live stream showing you exactly the type of weight training or strength training that I do. And it's definitely paid off. I'm starting to grow a little bit of a muscle there. Though I actually have weak upper body muscles. That's actually a condition that I have. So my ability to grow big muscles or to be ripped probably won't happen, but I at least are making myself stronger, at least to the point where I don't. I'm going to tell you guys a story. When I was about 14 years old, I actually got even more ripped than this. I was working out 3 to 4 times a week heavily at the gym, and my muscles hurt so bad at the end of each night, I could barely lift a cell phone or a cell phone case. So for me, it was excruciating when I first started doing it. But now that I've been doing strength training for over a year now, I realize that my muscles have gotten to a point where, heck, I could do it every day, and I honestly don't feel any pain anymore. Evan Kioke says, or Evan, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your last name right. When I was a teenager, I craved fast food, especially at night. I was so bored, so I would just drive all over the different fast food restaurants when I wasn't playing video games. It was depressing. Yeah, similar situation here. There were times that I would eat different fast food restaurants all day. I would make the circuit, maybe eat 1 or 2 things at McDonald's. My favorite thing at McDonald's was the breakfast burritos. And honestly, I'll probably go back to eating 1 or 2 a week when I get down to my goal weight, just because that's something I really, really miss. But one thing I've noticed as I've gotten older, you guys got to remember, I'm 35, pushing 36 now. My body just doesn't crave that junk food like I used to. I could go a week or 2 without eating fast food. As a matter of fact, I haven't officially eating fast food probably for the last couple of months. The only thing that I do eat once a week on Sundays, I go to a place called Fredley's. You could tell it's late. I'm getting tired. Freddy's, and I get their fresh frozen custard. I know it's kind of an oxymoron, right? Fresh frozen, but it's delicious. I mean, they actually make it fresh locally, and it's absolutely delicious. But other than that, I stay away from the burgers. I stay away from the fries. I stay away from the tater tots. all the stuff that is going to put weight on you. I'm telling you, the fast food, eating fast food on a regular basis or semi-regular basis is the quickest way to put weight on, because there's so much sugar, fat, carbs, just plain junk in that food, and it will put weight on very, very quickly. It'll help you put weight on very, very quickly. Cameron Cloud asks, if you don't mind me asking, skin-wise, with the weight loss, did you tighten up or do you have loose skin? I still have loose skin. It's not as bad as I originally thought it would be. Mainly where I have loose skin under the arms, you can kind of see it there. May or may not get absorbed eventually by my body. If not, I may have to get it removed. And then the only other part I really have loose skin is on my torso. And I may get the courage to show you guys eventually, but it's not going to be tonight. Cameron Cloud asks, before you started losing weight, did you have anything like sore back or any conditions due to your size, and how has that changed over your weight loss journey? Yes, mainly it was sore back, but I did towards the end, before I started losing the weight, I started having issues with my knees as well. Um, any actual health conditions? I was diabetic, and I had pretty high blood pressure before I started this weight loss journey. Now that I've pretty much gotten down to my goal weight, I am no longer diabetic. My cholesterol is fine. My cholesterol wasn't even bad before I started this, and my blood pressure is pretty much stabilized. I do still take a blood pressure pill for the time being, but I'm going to go back to my doctor in April, and we're going to talk about maybe taking me off that, because honestly, my blood pressure now is pretty low. So that's something you want to think about, because believe it or not, most health conditions, if you're overweight, are going to be related to the fact that you're overweight. I know a lot of people out there are in denial that say, "Oh no, it's genetics. This particular condition runs in my family." That may be true, but you would be surprised how many conditions will clear up once you lose the weight. Cameron Cloud, I'm glad you're asking me all these questions. I absolutely don't mind answering them. Do you take any vitamins? Importance of breakfast. I do take vitamins. I take vitamin B12 and vitamin D3, and that's just because those are the two vitamins that I am deficient in. When I go to the doctor, I have a full metabolic workup done twice a year, so semi-annually, and whatever vitamins they tell me that I'm deficient in, I'll go ahead and start taking those. How many carbs would you recommend in a day for someone? I really honestly can't answer that, because it's different for everybody. Best thing to do is to go talk to your doctor or to a nutritionist. Your doctor can do a full metabolic workup and tell you where you're at, and then you can take that information to a nutritionist, and they can help you get on a program that's right for you. But it's almost impossible to answer without knowing, your body type or what you need done, basically. No, don't worry about the questions. I'll do the best I can to answer them. I'm not a doctor. I don't have a doctorate in anything, so whatever I say, you always want to take with a grain of salt. Again, if you're trying to just start a weight loss journey, best thing to do is to consult a physician. And I know I might get some hatred for saying that, but you know what? At the end of the day, they're the experts, and they're the ones that'll guide you on your path to a healthier you. All right, tubers, I am ending the live stream here tonight. I'm getting very tired. I am so glad you guys were here. I'm sure a lot of people will see this in post-production. I am going to do more of these, and I really apologize in advance for those of you that don't like this kind of video, that want to see my tech-related videos. More of those will be coming in the near future, so please continue to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.